Good evening. My name is Timothy Nelson. This is Math 5322. Today is Tuesday, April 24th, 2012, and my presentation is called Authoritative Task. Authoritative task is an assignment given to a student designed to assess their ability to apply standard-driven knowledge and skills to real-world challenges. This means students are asked to construct their own responses rather than selecting from one presentation, and that the task recollect challenges facing in the real world. Now I'm going to show you the pretest that I created. So here's the teacher notes. First of all, this project on assessment deals with Algebra 2 and covering the following functions: quadratics, square roots, rationals, explanation, logs, and functions. Takes are 2-A-9, 2-A-10, 2-A-11. It takes the approach of authoritative task, which is applying skills learning in the classroom and applying them to real world or challenges. The real world problem is creating a math scheme for the company assessment. So for then I'll give them this pre-assessment. Make sure they have a name, date, and period on it. You can answer these to the best of your ability. If you have no idea, please state that. You may use a T83 plus calculator if you have one. You must show all your work. Question 1 says, state what is a rational function. Question 2, find the root of x squared minus 2x plus 3 equal to 0. Question 3, solve for x. Log base 5 x equals 2. Question 4, solve for x. 2 raised to the x equals 16. Solve for x. X raised to the x plus 3 is equal to 28. They would answer this question, then I use this rubric right here. There are 3 categories and 3 rows. The first category is understand the problems. In the 33.3333 category, basically, decimals, so I like to throw them off to keep them guessing. Column 2, as you can see here, and row 1 says demonstrating complete understanding of the problem. Column 3, row 1. Set for 17 points on understand the problem. Part of the problem was misunderstood or misinterpreted. Column 4, row 1. Complete misunderstanding of the problem. So they totally missed the problem at all. Alright, next row. Planning the solution. In the first column for the points, plan could have led to a correct solution if implemented properly. So if they did set it up properly, they more likely will get the answer. Column 2 of that little right there. Perfectly correct plan based on part of the problem being interpreted correctly. So if they got some of it right, they're going to get some points. And the last column, no attempts or totally inappropriate plan. So they had no attempt, they even tried it all, left it blank, or the plan was totally off. They would get, depending on how well they set the plan up, they would get 6 points. Alright, last row on my rubric. Getting the answer. So the first little part there, correct answer and correct label for answering. I think correct labeling is very important because a lot of our kids just put the answer down. They don't label. I always say how many chickens or how many pigs, and they have to put labels down, like 6 meters squared or 6 meters. They need a unit. I mean, I could be talking about chickens all day long, and they would never know. Alright, next part. Correct copying error, computation error, partial for answer for problems with multiple answers. So they get a little bit right, they have a little computation error, or they copied it wrong, they get some problem like. Alright, last little part of this row, no answers or wrong answer based on appropriate plan. So basically if they totally missed it, but they had some attempt at it, they get some points at it. Alright, now I'm going to show you the video, what I would show the kids first.
We've all heard of pyramid schemes with the lure of easy profits and flashy salesmen, but unfortunately, they are not always easy to recognize. Built with a top-down business model, a pyramid scheme is an illegal investment scam based on a shaky foundation. The schemes are initiated by an individual or company recruiting investors with promises of high returns, and those businesses rarely involve sales of real products or valid services. The pyramid begins with an initial investor at the top. That investor recruits others, each making a payment to the initial investor in exchange for their opportunity to recruit subordinate investors in the future. All subordinate investors make payments to the higher level ones, and thus the pyramid is formed. The hallmark of a pyramid scheme is that each investor directly benefits depending on how many new investors are recruited. The person on the top of the pyramid does not have access to all of the money wrapped up in the scheme, but receives a part of every additional dollar. The returns decrease the further down the pyramid you are, dwindling to nothing once it has reached the point where no new recruits are buying into the scheme. At this time, the pyramid collapses, and those at the bottom are left with a loss. While many are tempted by the promises of quick and easy wealth, the old adage, if it's too good to be true, it likely is certainly worth keeping in mind when it comes to these scams.
So basically I would show the kids this video and go into a little more depth of what it is. Then I would give them this sheet of paper, the format assessment paper. Basically I redefine what a pyramid scheme is. It's a little too wordy for high school kids, but if you read down where it says, in other words, it's a very complex system that steals your money without knowing. I put that in there for the people to understand, but we need to give our kids these higher level words so they understand what's going on in the real world. Because a lot of these kids in Algebra 2 are going to either take calculus or pre-cal, or they're pretty much juniors and seniors, and they'd be ready for the real world. So, then I'll go over the example. So the general equation for growth into Mr. Nelson's pyramid scheme for people. So, you have f of x is equal to 3x, where x, the number of rounds level of the pyramid. So you let round 0 be 1. That would be Mr. Nelson. That's me first. Round 1 would be 3. So it would be 3 other people. Okay. Round 2 would be 9 people. Round 3 would be 27 people, and so on. Then there's an equation for general equation for money received into Mr. Nelson's pyramid scheme. So the equation is f of m is equal to m squared plus 3m plus 2x, where m is the amount of money received at that level of the pyramid. So that is basically the amount of money that I'm getting per that round. Or you can just use a straight money, everyone gets $1. But I want to be a little complex because we're using algebra here, like taking a little simultaneous equations, because in the real world they're not going to give you just one equation, they're going to give you many equations. You're going to have to find out how the pyramid scheme actually worked. So, there are 5 questions. I always tell the kids you must show all your works. Question 1 says, how many rounds would it take to include all the students in Alice High School? There's roughly 1,700 people. Sorry about that. How much money would you have at this point? So they would have to figure it out. How much money would they have at this point? And how many rounds would it take? Question 2, how many rounds would it take to include all the city of Alice? There's 19,104 people in Alice, according to the 2010 Census Bureau, and you find how much money would you have at this point too. So those are kind of the similar problem. Then we go a little bigger. How many rounds would it take to include all the people in Texas? You have 25,006,674,681 people, and would you have more than $300? So the kids would have to figure out more than. A lot of times kids don't understand what more than is, so that's a key word there to figure it out. So you're kind of using a little bit inequalities there at this present moment. Alright, so question 4. How many rounds would it take to include all of the people in the United States? That's roughly 3 million people. Alright, so they have to figure it out. That's only one question. Question 5. How many rounds would it take to reach 1,000? Some kids would argue they would never get to 1,000, but they have to show it, or some kids they wouldn't. So once again, here's my rubric for formative assessment. The same as the pre-assessment. Kind of give them similar things. I still have the 3 categories and the 3 denominations of points. Once we go over that for a couple of days, then I would go into this. Here's my summary assessment. These grade levels go from 9 to 12. There are some schools that have 9th grade Algebra 2, and this is class Algebra 2. The objective is applying knowledge to real world. The TEKS are Algebra 2, 9, quadratics and square roots. The students formulate equations and inequalities based on square root functions, using various methods to solve them and analyze the solution in terms of the situation. Algebra 2, Number 10, rational functions. The students format equations and inequalities based on rational functions, use of variables methods to solve them, and analyze the solution in terms of situations. Algebra 2, number 11, exponents and logarithmic functions. So students format equations and inequalities based on exponentials and logarithmic functions, use various methods to solve them, and analyze the solution in terms of the situation. So I'd give them that. Those are the tests we're going to be using. Alright, so I give the kids this option. You can do that. You must circle. You can either work in groups of 3, no more than 3, or alone. You have to circle. If you apply groups, you need to have your name, your email, your phone, other methods of contact, and address. This makes sure the kids have to contact each other. It shows them that I have knowledge and they know that they have to contact them. Alright? Then I would tell them, here's your scenario. You've just been hired by a 30-task company. Your first assignment is to design a scheme that can make money for the company using math that you learned up to this point in this class. Alright, so think about it for a while. So please circle one or more. So they can use one equation or no more equations. Exponential, logs, polynomial functions, rationals, or other functions. That can be step functions. That can be any kind of functions that we learned up to this point. I'll let them do it. They must create like a pyramid scheme, but not quite a pyramid scheme. I kind of want to think outside the box here. Alright? So here's my rubric for summary assessment. Now, since this is a little more formal, I break it down into 5 categories. Creativity, work in group appropriately, work and ideas, neatness, and meet deadlines. Okay, so the first category, creativity. You have superior for 20 points, great creativity for 15, good creativity 10, some creativity or no creativity. This project is about creativity. The better it is, because basically what I'm doing is I live in Alice and I have a lot of con people and a lot of murders right now. So I want to see what kind of people they are. So they'll be pretty good at conning people. So this is more creativity. I can see what the next con would be in the world. Second part, a lot of my kids cannot work in groups. So this is why I put it in there. Group work is very important when you get to higher level math, as we all know. So you have for 20 points, work well with the groups appropriate. Mostly works with groups appropriately. Work fairly in groups appropriately. Work some with groups and no work at all. However, if they do not work in a group, I'm not going to punish them for group assignments. I'm just going to, if they work alone, they get 20 points easy. So basically, I would tell them they want to work alone. But a lot of people won't do that because they don't think that way. Alright, work and ideas. Show all your work and ideas. So you put everything on the paper, I see everything, you get 20 points. Show most work and ideas, you get some points. Show half the work and half the ideas, you'll put half the idea on paper and half in your head. Well, I'm only going to give you 10 points. Show some work. You show very little work and go, the rest is in my head, I'm only going to give you 5. And if you show no work or ideas, well, you're going to get 0 points. Neatness. This is the one category that I struggle with, and I see a lot of my kids struggle with too, is neatness and how you present things and talk and stuff like that. So I put this on this category. Superior neatness, great neatness, minimum neatness, sloppy or very sloppy. Meet deadlines. In today's society, a lot of people and a lot of students are horrible with meeting deadlines and horrible at showing up on time. So, if you meet all deadlines, meet most deadlines, meet half the deadlines, meet some of the deadlines, do not meet any deadlines at all. This is a big category, and a lot of my kids have missed this. I also give my kids some notes. If you do not have access to computer or library at home, I tell the kids use the school computer or the library computer at home when you have the chance. If you don't have access to a calculator at home, use the one classroom set when you're in class. If you have any questions by X amount of weeks, please ask the instructor. I always tell them, you must cite all your references. Be creative and have fun with it. It's okay if the entire group, so that the whole class uses the same function, as long as the game or scheme is different or not closely related to each other. This is a big one, very big for plagiarism. I always tell them, when they get to college, this is pretty much what's going to happen. You can't steal work. A lot of people like to cheat a lot and copy. Do not steal games or schemes out there. They must be original ideas. I want them to be very creative. This project is about creativity. If you work alone, once again, you won't be penalized for working in groups. So, there is my thing. Here are my references. I'll blow it up so you can see it. Go through it. And I hope you enjoyed this. Wonderful presentation. Thank you.